How's it going, everybody? My name is Bo, and I'm a home theater enthusiast. And in today's video, I first want to show you quickly the new front stage that I did to go in between my new subwoofers. If you haven't seen that video, it's been almost a month since I did a home theater video, but I'll put a link to that in the description. And once I get done showing the stage, I want to share a story about having uh, an old friend and his wife over to check out the theater room, and I'm going to give you their impressions and share that story coming up next. All right, but first, here's a look at the stage as it was before. Not the best photo, but I really liked how this looked, honestly. And this is the new look. The subwoofers, I mean, they definitely improve the sound, but I would prefer not to see them. But yeah, just did a simple straight stage using the same bass. I had to extend it a little bit, and then buy some new foam board to make the new top into two pieces, and then I linked the LEDs up. And this video doesn't show it off that great, but in person it does add a nice look to it. I just wish I had done some angled towards the subwoofers. I wish I had that angled out, like at a 45-degree angle towards the front of the subs, which I might do later on. But for now, this is how it looks, and this is with the lights off. Overall, I'm pretty happy. It only cost me $29 to remake this, so that's a look at the stage. All right, so there was the new front stage, and yeah, like I said, I might end up changing it down the road, but for now, I've gotten used to it over the past couple weeks. And yeah, so the main reason I kind of rushed to get that done, if you will, was I invited my friend and his new wife over to hang out, grilled some food, had some good food, some good conversation, sat out at the fire. And but before all that, I showed them the theater room, and want to give you guys their impressions and talk a little bit about that. First, though, my buddy Jeremy, a unique story is that in 2005, he basically bought a house and had this idea to do a theater room. And he was my brother's friend. He saw what I did at my parents' house and asked me if I'd help him. So here is his theater room in a professional photo that was taken back in 2005 after we finished. And it's actually an enlarged screen. The actual screen was only a 57-inch rear projection CRT. So the photographer actually photoshopped the screen to look way more impressive, because it was a really small, unimpressive looking screen. It was a 13-foot wide wall with all this fabric. The entire every wall had fabric on it, and then you have this little tiny TV. I forget what the width of a 57-inch screen is, but it's about 55 probably. So under 5 foot, just 4.5 feet, and then you have a 13-foot wall. So anyway, it was a hell of a project, though. The room sounded absolutely amazing, and we have a lot of memories about that room. And our lives kind of went different directions. He had to sell the house a few years after we finished, and he hasn't had much experience with a theater room since then. So I figured I'd invite him over. About maybe a year and a half ago, he saw my room with the 92-inch screen. I didn't have the walls painted. I didn't have my new columns. Obviously, only had the one subwoofer. And, it was fairly impressive, but, it didn't have the wow factor I was kind of expecting from his reaction, even though, he was impressed at the time. But I've been telling him since the summer that I was redoing my front wall, and once he got married, they kind of moved over closer to me. I said I wanted to have him over to truly experience the finished room, and his wife had never even experienced any kind of home theater at all. Now, they did recently watch Top Gun Maverick at our local cinema. It was like a month after it came out, so it wasn't in the pristine renovated theater with the amazing sound. When I saw the Batman there, it actually blew me away. So yeah, it was cool. They came over, we hung out for a bit, and I brought them down into the room, and I just remember her just saying "wow" over and over, and yeah, so I kind of went over the details with him because right away he's like, "Oh, are those is that diffusion, sound diffusion in those columns?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." It's the first time I've had somebody over ever that actually had some knowledge because it's probably been 5-6 years since we were really hanging out, maybe even longer. Um, and he remember we did the a similar fabric for the front wall, but he was asking me about how I made surrounding the screen with the fabric and went over that. And yeah, it was cool just to have somebody genuinely asking good questions who had some experience because yeah, as you seen, that room was immaculate. So but anyway, I played him 4 demos. I told him I was gonna give me about 30 minutes. I'm going to play 4 different scenes. I picked Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, the opening, not really the opening of the movie, it's the first few minutes in. The beach scene, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, shame on you. This is one of the best visuals you'll see. If you want to demonstrate your projector's colors and brightness, put this scene on. It also has a really good Dolby Atmos mix if you crank it up. So yeah, I put that on first, and I looked over because I was in this seat. I had his wife in the center, and he was in my right. And I looked over, and I just saw mouths open, jaws dropped, and gasps of wows and oohs and ahs. And I gotta say, as somebody that's basically had a surround sound set up since like 95, 96 in my bedroom, it's very rare to have people genuinely excited, impressed about a home theater. My best friend, for example, I'll start showing him something when I first redid the room like 2 years ago, and he starts talking over the demo. He don't care. It doesn't mean anything to him. So it's just really nice to have people who are just taken in by the experience. And obviously that movie's more about the visual side. They were just really, this isn't to toot my own horn either. I don't want to get you guys thinking the wrong thing. It's just exciting for an enthusiast to have people watching demos, sitting in the room, that are genuinely interested and genuinely excited. So to see the looks on their faces, just really, I don't want to say warmed my heart. It just really was super cool for me and exciting for me to see their excitement. So followed that up with A Star Is Born, the 2 performances, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper's Shallow, I think. And my buddy, he's big into music, and he basically used that theater room mostly for watching music DVDs and listening to music. And he looked over, he said, "Dude, I got chills." Like, I cranked that up pretty loud. I had it on negative like 12 or 11, and I actually bumped it up to my second speaker pattern where the subwoofers get about a 3 dB jump or boost. And yeah, that's the clarity. He said he couldn't believe the clarity of the vocals, thanks to the focals, thanks to the EQ I did, and then all the REW stuff I did with the subwoofers. He's just like, "Dude," like he says that literally, "Dude." And then I followed that up with A Quiet Place, the last scene, where it comes down the stairs to showcase the placement, the Atmos and stuff. His wife was worried about it being too scary, but she had seen the movie, and that one's one you gotta just kind of. I should have stopped it and explained to him what to be listening for, because sometimes you're just caught up in the moment. You don't hear the things you would hear if you're paying more attention. But it's definitely a good demo. He asked about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was the go-to back in the day on DVD, because used the sound, all 5 channels, really well, and ended with this amazing bass. I said, dude, this blows away the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But finished up with the Batmobile chase scene from the Batman. And yeah, I looked over and they were both grinning ear to ear the whole time. It's a really tense scene. Um, and he said, dude, the sound design in that movie is like out of this world. It's amazing. Um, I think that's probably the best sound. It's a combination. I think it's the best sounding sequence or demo for my room, and it's also a very tense, exciting sequence. So it's not just like, hey, wait for this sound to happen, over you. It's not like a full on like obvious Dolby Atmos effects, even though when the Penguin's car's rolling at the end, you do feel like the sound's going like that. Um, but it's just basically like because it's such an exciting scene, it's easy for people to get caught up in it, and it just sounds the bass and everything's just amazing. So, we hung out for a few hours after that. We shared a bunch of stories with her about his and I journey building his room, and it was just a great night. But the next day, I just messaged him, said, "Hey, what stood out to you the most? What had the most impact on you?" He said, first off, the sound by far and away was the highlight, and the Star is Born. He said just the clarity and everything was just he was blown away by it. So his wife, who has first time experience ever in a home theater, she just basically said it was amazing. And it was funny because as we were walking out of the room, she looked at him and said, yeah, we're going to do something like this when we get a house, right? And that's music to my ears. So they gotta get some stability financially and stuff years down the road, but hopefully I can help them, whether it's a full dedicated space or whether it's just getting a good speaker, good, maybe a 5.1, a nicer TV, bigger TV, something like that. I would gladly go over, help calibrate, do some EQ, get the subwoofers and everything set. But it's exciting, and it was great to reminisce about the theater room in 2005, and then just to get actual feedback and see reactions from people who are excited or actually cared about what was happening. So yeah, that was really cool, and actually has me super excited to have other home theater enthusiasts, people who have a dedicated room. They know their rooms, what their rooms sound like. I'd love to have them come over if they're in Michigan. If you're watching this, if you're in Michigan, you have a dedicated room. I know Jeremy from Tech Enthusiasm and I have been talking back and forth. We're going to try to set something up possibly. I'd love to go to other people's rooms, because honestly, the only rooms I've ever heard are rooms I've done. So 2005, my buddy's room sounded great. Obviously with his help, we did a lot of acoustics. My rooms in my house, we did another room for people that lived by him after they saw his room. And then a guy by me, and back in 2008, I sold my old speakers to, and he bought a new Onkyo and a bigger screen and a projector, and I hooked it up for him, and actually sounded really good. He had a big room and 7.1 channel room. And then the iterations of my room. Those are the only rooms I've ever heard. I've never heard somebody else's work, somebody else's taste to like how they like their bass to sound, how they like their speakers to sound, how their room's set up. I'd love to experience other rooms. Now I'm not youth man. I'm not a videographer. I don't have a microphone camera. Like I don't know if I can document it. But I would love to experience other rooms. I'd love to have people over, get their impressions. Where can I improve my room? Am I missing something? Do you like if somebody was here and heard a demo and say, oh man, I'm used to hearing this, and this, or stuff like that. Well, I would call constructive criticism. I'm not like looking to like redo my whole room again, but little bits of information, sharing back and forth with other enthusiasts would be really awesome. So hopefully I can make that happen in the near future. But anyway, thanks for listening to my story, checking out my new front stage. I know it's been a while since I uploaded my last home theater video. That's just the way it's going to be. I'm also an avid gamer, so I've been putting some time in on my PS5 and my Switch, and then just watching a ton of content. I didn't mention that earlier. I finished my room and got the subwoofers, and then I just spent like basically the last month just watching content, TV shows, movies, everything. So it's a great time for me personally. This is honestly my greatest achievement. This is a lifelong goal of mine, not my whole life, but since like 94, 95, I've always been trying to get to a point, and I never actually thought I'd get to this point where I'd have a room to this level. But it's been a long journey. It's been a great experience, and like I said, this is easily my greatest accomplishment in life, is doing this room pretty much all myself, by myself, not just barely ever having help from others. So it's a proud moment for me, and it was great to see other people excited about it. But anyway, this video is probably gonna be kind of long, so I appreciate it if you watched it to the end. Leave me a comment, hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next video.